Hey guys, Woods Farm here, Project 222. This is episode 31. Today we're finally going to get around to starting to weld up some of the seams on the body panels. It's been a long time coming, but we've got some warmer weather where we can open the garage door and start that part of the project. Also, later in the video, I'm going to show you some of my reference material and some of the information that I use to plan out the project. So stick around and check it out. Okay guys, I think we're going to start with welding some seams. This has been a long time coming. It's the beginning of March right now, and today the temperature is going up to around 0. So it will give us a chance to be able to open up the garage door. I don't have an actual welding ventilation system in my shop, so what happens is if we do a lot of welding, if I'm running a lot of beads, the place just fogs right up with fumes, and obviously that's not very healthy to be working in. So generally up until now we've just been doing small amounts of welding, tacking here or there, and just little things. So what we need to do is go back and weld all of these seams, and that's actually going to be a really big project. It's going to take us quite a bit of time to do this. So I'm going to start today working around the front wheel wells and maybe on the nose a little bit, and we'll see how far we get with it. So here's the first thing I'm going to start with. It's actually going to be a little bit fabricating as well because there's a fairly large gap right in here in this area. So actually I think I'm going to cut a small piece of material just to fill the gap. You're not going to see in here, so I'm not really worried about what it looks like. It's just got to be closed in. And then all these lower seams in here in this area, you know, working around the nose. There's this little triangular patch that needs to get fabricated and put in. Maybe I'll do that today. And then here you can see these larger seams, all of the body panels. All of those seams need to get welded in. Right now they're just tacked in place. So I'm not sure how far we'll get, but this is what we'll be working on today. Now I'm not going to film a lot of this because you guys have seen me weld before and it's pretty boring. I might take a few clips and then we'll come back and I'll just show you some of the progress. I think one thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take the tire off. It'll just give me a little bit of better access in this lower wheel well area, and while the tire's off, I'm going to work on this seam here. Now, a lot of these seams, like this one for instance, is just an exposed weld. However, some of these other seams are places where we've scabbed two plates together. This was actually supposed to be one solid piece. So this weld I'm going to have to be a little more careful on and take my time, and it's going to have to get ground down flush so it's hidden and it looks like one piece of material. welding for now. I think you get the point. Kind of boring. Probably not going to show this process of welding the seams again. It's just something we're going to slowly work on over the spring on the nicer, warmer days when we can open the garage door. Not the most interesting thing, but it does have to get done, so we'll keep working on it. Okay, next thing, we're going to do something a little bit different. I've had a few questions recently on the 222 in regards to where I've got blueprints or plans, reference material, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've done in terms of finding out information for the project. Okay, for starters, this is the first piece of reference material, really the main piece of reference material I've used for the project. This is the Panzer Tracts number 13-1, and it's not a very long book, but it does have some scale drawings of all the different versions of the 221, the 222, and the 223. Also some of the radio car variations. It's got some really good drawings that are scaled that show all the different views. And there's corresponding photos that go with each of the different drawings for the different series. So this is the main thing that I've used. I can't think of the scale off the top of my head, but I've been able to use these drawings and scale everything up by taking measurements from these. So that's all I really used. There's also, good reference materials and photos on the interior of the vehicles as well. So there's a lot of that in here, and this is kind of the go-to that we use. There's some good drawings of the pedestal and the turret, the interior. So if you're going to start one of these projects, I'd say this is a must-have. Pretty inexpensive. I think you can get it on Amazon. So not hard to find this. Now the other thing I've done, and I did this with my Wagon project, is where I got the idea for this, is I get these binders, and they kind of start off small at the beginning of the project, but as I add information they get thicker and thicker, and I section them out into different sections. So for instance, at the beginning of the project when I was working on the chassis, all of the information for the brakes, I've got it sectioned off in the section of brakes, and if you go through it, it's got information, drawings, diagrams that I've researched and got online. Specifically, a lot of exploded views. This is all stuff that I researched online. And then here is a detailed parts list showing all of the new parts that I put into the vehicle and the part numbers, things like that. So I always have this reference to go back to down the road if something breaks. Because when you build a project like this, and you're kind of making a custom chassis, you're throwing all these different parts together and making things work. So it's good to keep a really good record of everything that you've used. So here's another thing that I do is I take the labels off of parts that I've used, I photocopy them, and I have them for reference down the road. And you can see I've got different sections, drive line. This is all the transmission information, the U-joints that I used, so I know I can go back and I can find quickly which U-joints I have. All of this is here. I haven't done a lot of electrical work, but here's the electrical system. I've got a section for the engine, what carburetor information, all kinds of technical drawings that I got online that apply to the engine that we have in our vehicle. So I recommend doing something like this. I like these plastic pages for the photocopies. Right, we got chassis, frame, steering, and suspension. This is a good part because I used a lot of different parts from all different vehicles, all combined together, whether it be tie rod ends, ball joints, that kind of thing. I even kept a record of what gearbox I used. 1987 Honda 350 Foreman. So for that steering box, shock absorbers, what ones I used. So that's for the chassis, and I can always go back and reference that. I also keep a pretty extensive record of all the reference information that I find online. So I've got technical drawings. These are some of my notes from some of the stuff that I had to alter and change dimensionally. Here's just some photocopies from the Panzer Tracts. I keep this book, try not to get it greasy and dirty, so I use these photocopies. And I also, what I did, just to make things more a little easier, is I actually photocopied and enlarged some of those drawings from the Panzer Tracts book. And I used the wheelbase measurement to verify the scale of this drawing. So this one, when I photocopied it and blew it up, it ended up being a 1:20 scale. So I've got all of those photocopies enlarged. Just makes it a little easier to measure the slightly larger drawing. And then of course I have reference photos, again some photocopies from the Panzer Tract book, but then there's also stuff from various sources online that I have found, printed off. These are links. There's actually a photo essay from one of the museum ones. So there's like a lot of really good detailed close-up photographs of different components on the interior. So this is kind of my Bible, and this is the main reference that I use for the project. So hopefully that answers your questions in regards to what kind of blueprints and reference material I'm using. Okay guys, we're going to wrap this video up here. Got quite a bit of work done. Didn't quite get to the fenders, and I haven't started that yet. I actually got sidetracked doing something a little bit different. I decided to start working on the visor and figuring out the hinge and how I'm going to do that, so I will show you that in a future video. If this is your first time watching Project 222, make sure to go back and watch the full series starting at the beginning. We're going to be putting out videos weekly right into the early summer. So make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell if you want to see future videos. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And as always, thanks for watching.